Hitting a six-figure hustle is a sign that your hustle is being successful. In fact, it's being very successful and probably far more successful than almost any hustle ever is. But there's a world of difference between a six-figure hustle and a seven-figure business. And it's not just a factor of 10 in the amount of income. It's in the existence of process, of procedure, of habit, of planning, of process. All of those things are critically important in the business that you can't do with the amount of work you're putting into your hustle. You have to have something helping you. I'll break down for you today the difference between what a business owner of a seven-figure business and a person doing a side hustle of a six-figure business that is different, and what they're doing different, and why there are very different things required for those two phases. And it's very straightforward. The hustle guy is working on his own efforts. Maybe he has some people working with him, but he's the one that's driving everything. Everything is ad hoc. Everything is immediate. Everything is the thing directly in front. By the time you get to a real business, you have process in place, you have sales meetings, you have engineering meetings, you have customer meetings, you have planning meetings, you have lawyer meetings, all those boring things that make the difference between a hustle and a business. If you're going to grow, you need to put them in place. Today I will break down for you the difference between what a seven-figure business owner does and a six-figure hustle person does, and they're very substantial. Six-figure hustlers run off of guts. They run off of their feelings, they run off of their ability to pay attention to something. And that is what helped them build a six-figure hustle. Seven-figure entrepreneurs in their businesses run off of data and off of process. They measure what their company is doing, they measure what is required to get them where they're going, and they follow a process in getting there. So they don't have to worry about those kind of details and can concentrate on where they're headed in a seven-figure business. A seven-figure entrepreneur doesn't just know what's going on at the moment. He knows how much it costs him to get a customer acquisition cost. He knows his daily burn rate. How much money is he spending, and who's he spending it on, and what's he spending it on. He knows what's he got due at a different time. What is his schedule? What is the plans for the various companies? I want to share with you something that I've been working on for a long time that is very important to me, and that is a Discord channel for business. On it, there will be a lot of free information, but also access to me. So you can have the ability to ask me questions, and I can respond to your particular problems and difficulties, and also help you get started. I'm really looking forward to being able to interact with you individually on there. I look forward to seeing everybody on there, and I will be waiting for you. Now, let's get back to our video. He knows and keeps all of those things in front of him, not because he wants to waste the time, but because he knows that that saves him both time and confusion. Six-figure hustlers can keep it straight in their heads, and they can depend upon themselves. They're essentially a sole proprietorship, if you will. And that's okay. They can get away with that. You can never do that in a seven-figure business. So delegate, delegate, delegate. Hire people who can do the job well, and then let them do it. The entrepreneur who has gone from the six-figure hustle to the seven-figure business has to learn that lesson, because he learned before to be in charge of everything. Now he has to learn to let go, and that's often extremely difficult for him to do. But he has to learn it, or the company will never be a success. Delegation is not only about growing the company, other people to do the work, but it's about trust. And that trust means that you trust the person to do their job and you let them do it. Too many entrepreneurs, especially new ones, try to do the job even of the competent people that are working for them. If you have a competent person working for you, let them do their job. If you have an incompetent person working for you, get rid of them. That's a lesson that seven-figure entrepreneurs learn, that six-figure entrepreneurs have not learned yet and have to unlearn if they're going to make it to seven figures. Seven-figure entrepreneurs hire people who are competent and know what they are doing. They give them their jobs and specify their jobs clearly, and then they get out of the way. And then they track how the person does on the job. That's their job, is to manage, not to do. If you're in a seven-figure business and you're still doing the sales, You're still writing the procedures. You're still doing the admin and handling hiring and firing. You're still trying to get the product developed. You're still dealing with all the customers. You're still dealing with the suppliers. If you're doing all of those things directly, you're not the CEO. That's executive officer. That means you execute. You have people doing things for you. You are instead an overworked drudge. A six-figure entrepreneur, especially one that's trying to become a seven-figure business owner, will pursue a customer regardless of the fact that the customer may require a new system, that the customer may be doing things differently and can't really use the product you've got, but if only you modify it this way, I can use it. They will fall into that trap over and over again, and they'll never make it to the seven figures. Seven-figure business and above is marked by consistency. It's marked by the fact that you have products that are broad enough to serve a wide range of customers, but that do not try to solve all customers' problems, because you can't do that, and it's always a temptation, especially for a new hustler, to pursue the latest person you talk to. That's a novice sales mistake. It should never be made by the CEO. A seven-figure entrepreneur really has one job, and that one job is leading his or her company in the path towards success. It is not in doing all the tasks required to get to that success. It is for hiring people that can do that. It is for guiding them. It is for teaching them what is to be done, not how it is to be done. And it is keeping the laser focus on the one thing the company is doing. And that is, whatever its product is, selling it to as many people as possible. The time scale of a six-figure hustler and a seven-figure entrepreneur are very, very different. The six-figure hustler concentrates on the next 5 minutes, or at least the next 5 days. Very short time frame, because things are changing very quickly. They're dealing with multiple customers who all want different things, and they're trying their best to stay up on it, and for a while they can. But a seven-figure entrepreneur thinks in terms of months and quarters and years, because that's the way business really works. Everybody tracks businesses on a quarterly basis. Why do they do it on a quarterly basis? Because anything faster than that is noise. And anything slower than that, you don't catch things early enough. So people follow a quarterly scale, and you have to learn to do that. But it's a difficult lesson to learn when you're used to dealing in minutes. A seven-figure entrepreneur is paying attention to the big picture. By paying attention to the big picture, the little details are not anywhere near as painful. Half of them are somebody else's responsibility anyway, and the rest are things that you have seen before and you've learned about. Don't trip over them again. You've learned to grow above that. When you're dealing with a seven-figure entrepreneurship and above, you're a planner. Planning is much less stressful than execution. Your job is not execution. Your job is to manage the people who are doing the execution. And as soon as you learn that, you'll find your job has just gotten a lot easier. Here's the bottom line. The larger a company is, in general, the less hard the CEO works. The better he or she handles the management of the personnel below them and therefore of the company. It is the six-figure hustler that has too many things going on in his life, not the 7, 8, 9-figure entrepreneur. Make sure as you are making that transition, you are putting in place the systems that enable you to make that transition so that you're worrying about the system and not about the details, because the details are not your concern. You want to know the results, you want to track them, that's why you have the data. But that's not your daily worry. Your daily worry is this person doing his or her job? Is that job getting done? Are these people talking to each other? And that's what you should be spending your time on, not worrying about the details. If you want to be successful at the seven-figure or above level, stop acting like a six-figure hustler and start acting like a 7 or 8-figure entrepreneur, and then you'll be one. If you're stuck at the six-figure level, ask yourself if it's because you are trying to do everything. Is it because you are not making the transition that is required to go beyond that, which is getting other people working as a team with you, but letting them do their jobs? Having the data you need, not for the moment-to-moment stuff, but for the month and quarterly basis that your company needs to grow and to plan. If you're making those transitions, and they're not smooth, but they're not horrible. If you're not making those transitions, you're going to stay at the six-figure level. Or even worse, you're going to fall back from that because you're trying to do the wrong job. Learn to use process. Learn to work with other people and delegate. Learn to let other people do their jobs, and you'll find yours is much easier. The shift from 6 to 7 figures is not really about income. It's about process. It's about attitude. It's about the method of doing business. It is, in fact, the difference between individual effort and team effort. The 7-figure and above entrepreneur has learned how to harness the team. The team is not just other people, although that's the major part of it, but it's also process and systems. He's learned how to put those into effect. The 6-figure hustler has not.